Guys, we're just outside the town hall and Zainab's here with us. She's a local activist and she's been very active in the local area for the past couple of years, and she's very not happy about what's going on in the area with the ladies' gym closing down and plenty of other issues in the area. So she's just going to speak to us about what's been going on and she's going to fill us in.
Yeah, oh sorry, I was about to take the mic off you.
You can if you want.
No. The reason that I'm here today is to support Ealing Independent Network. Just to give it a little bit of context, I've always been to the left. Politically, I've always been to the left. I've been a Labour Party member. I've always voted Labour all my life. But what I'm seeing in Southall is a real disparity in the way in which Southall is treated in our borough versus other parts of our borough. And for me, it reeks of racism, it reeks of classism. And I think that our local elected officials take our communities for granted because they know that we are going to consistently vote for them. They know that it's a safe seat. And I'm here to say, as somebody who is an ethnic minority that's from this community, that actually we're not meek, we're not going to be quiet, we're not going to not make noise. If we're unhappy, what we're going to do is we're going to translate that and manifest that into something that's proactive. What we're seeing here is grassroots local activists from Clean Air for Southall and Hayes, amongst other people, who've been campaigning and doing work in this community for a long time. It's not been about personal gain, it's not been about prestige, it's because they're local people that have been affected by the issues. And what they're doing is they're going, do you know what, we're going to take the baton, and rather than actually being keyboard warriors, rather than actually, showing disdain or being upset about the fact that what's happening to us on social media, we're going to actually translate that into grassroots stuff. And that's why there are people here that are standing locally. I campaigned and tried to, it wasn't just solely me, there were other people. There was Hassan, but he's not here right now. I hope he manages to come here. Shout out to Hassan, who really started the petition for Southall, to save Southall Sports Centre. And I wouldn't have been able to do it. No man is an island. I would not have been able to do it had it not been the community galvanising together, had it not been for cash, had it not been for Southall name and shame, had it not been from local people in the community being affected by it, coming together to say we stand in solidarity with you. And to be honest, the closure of Southall Sports Centre is indicative of the neglect that we're seeing in our community. We've got a young people centre up the road that's also facing closure. We're talking again about an area where you've got young people who are disenfranchised. Where are they supposed to go? Right? And again, this is why I say that it feeds into the racism and the classism that we're seeing in the way in which our community is being treated. Who from our local officials talk to us? Who from our local officials engaged with us when we tried to campaign to save Southall Sports Centre? Did
Verinder Sharma reply back to any of the emails or the messages that were sent?
No. I mean, he did, I think, something with Hassan, but it was private. It was on Zoom. It was just with Hassan. I don't want to put words into Hannan's mouth. He can speak about it, but it was all virtue signalling. It was behind the scenes, and he didn't say anything, according to Hassan. He was just absolutely quiet, and he had people speaking on his behalf. I mean, how do you have an elected official who can't even have the guts to actually speak to you and has people next to him as his mouthpieces? I mean, how can you have someone elected, right, who can't even speak up for you? I mean, again, it's ridiculous.
Do you think that... Sorry, I'll just start.
No, go on.
Do you think that this whole thing was kind of not brought up way before, and then now suddenly there's been an uproar from the local community about what's going on? Because they've not only... It's not a one issue that's come up. It's like a number of issues, and it's all built up over time. Do you think that's been one of the problems, where it's just out of nowhere there's just been an outburst from the local community?
I think so. Again, I'd like to just mention, grassroots groups like Cash, Southall Name and Shame, all of these people who've been coming together. There's been multiple things that have been going on. I know that you would have heard a little bit about,
UB1, UB2 gave you guys a bit of support on social media as well.
Yes, they did. Thank you to UB1, UB2. Thank you for using your platform for the local community. We wouldn't have been able to get the word out there if it wasn't for you. So wholeheartedly appreciate it. We, the community, appreciate it. I think it's just there's been a series of things that have happened in succession, one after the other, and I think that it definitely has come to a point where people have gone, enough is enough. And isn't that great? Isn't that empowering?
Fantastic.
Like, that's what we should be doing, right? I had no idea the level of toxic gas air that we're actually exposed to in Southall. Would this happen in Ealing?
And a number of the people that were actually really affected by the gasworks have actually kind of passed away. I know a couple of the people that have they've passed away now, a couple of years ago,
Exactly. So we're talking about life and death here, right? We're talking about life and death. People think that, again, campaigning for the sports centre. No, it is a life and death situation. I tell you why. Our communities are predisposed, as we know, to a number of health conditions, and the pandemic exposed that, right? So not only are you putting our health at risk in the first place because of the gasworks, you're actually removing the facilities within our community to allow us a space to actually be in control and take charge of our health and improve our health. So how does that work? I go there as a woman, and I have been using the women's only space for a number of years. Now, I might not necessarily have a problem going to a mixed space, but I always feel more comfortable to go to the women's space. Always, right? There are so many women, from young to older aunties, right, that I see come to that gym specifically for the women's only section. They are not going to go out there now. They are not going to feel safe to go out and exercise. They're not going to feel safe to run the streets. I mean, what the council are basically trying to propose as, a like-for-like alternative, or a better alternative, is outdoor gyms that they're going to have in the park. You tell me, do you think that your mum or your sisters at 8 o'clock in the evening when it's dark are going to go to an outdoor gym?
Definitely not, no.
Never. I mean, it's minimalist anyway. There's no cleaning facilities. Who's going to feel safe to go to an outdoor gym? I mean, how many days in the year does it rain in this country?
And not only that, like you said, the weather's a big factor in this as well. It's winter like most of the year round. And it's always cold, so for people that are fragile and old and that got illnesses,
100%.
They wouldn't want to go somewhere far. Like, for example, I think the alternative was Dormers Wells Gym, they said. So that's on the other side of Southall.
Right.
So what's Old Southall going to be? How are they going to be catered? I mean, that's a couple of the points that local people brought up.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the thing. I think there seems to be this idea that, you've got Dormers Wells like leisure centre, you've got Dormers Wells Sports Centre. Get off, guys, and you might just have to travel a little bit extra. It's not that big of a deal. And there seems to be this real dismissal, as if the community are being lazy by suggesting that they would like something a little bit closer within their vicinity, and that they don't want to have to travel. But people don't have to look at the logistics of it. Southall's got a massive traffic issue. To get from A to B within Southall, it just is a nightmare. People who've got responsibilities, who've got work, who've got caring responsibilities, who've got children, who've got older people that they need to look after, they're not going to take the time out of their day if they have to incorporate the travel to get to Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. And also the thing is, why have we always had two leisure centres? We've had two because it caters for the population.
Overpopulation.
The overpopulation of this community. So now you've taken one facility and community hub away, and you're saying to us, everyone go to that other facility, but you don't have the infrastructure. It doesn't make any sense. And I think, again, what we're seeing here with all the grassroots stuff that's happening, with all the stuff that's happening with the sports centre, is indicative of the gentrification that we're seeing within the community, right? And look, gentrification, what do we mean when we talk about gentrification? We're not talking about issues with trying to make the area nicer for the local people, but when you're trying to make the area nicer at the expense of the local people, that is when gentrification becomes an issue. That is when it disenfranchises us. We're seeing our community hubs being destroyed, right? So it's all well and great that you're attempting to make the community nicer, although I'd argue against that, because as we see, our local authorities really neglected our streets. They don't pick up rubbish. They don't, in the same way that they look after, other parts of the borough. But yeah, gentrification is at the expense of the community, and there's no engagement with us.
For a long time, they've been trying to close Ealing Hospital, but there's a crisis going on within this community in Southall with diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problems, all these cardiovascular diseases have popped up. But yet they're trying to close a hospital and they're trying to close a gym. Do you think that it's kind of silly of them to be even thinking or contemplating on about closing two things at one go? You know what I mean? The Ealing Hospital, the gym, all local youth projects that are going on.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a real attack on the community in Southall? Do you think it's like a real big attack? Like,
it feels like that. At the end of the day, what I would say is hear what the local community is saying. It's not just me banging on the same drum.
And the solution, what's the solution here? We've obviously gone into what's going on. Everyone said pretty much the same issues that have been popping up again and again. But what's the actual solution for Southall? Is it the Ealing Independent, or do you think there should be other people that should be involved as well? New Labour candidates should come in, Rinda Sharma should be removed. Do you think that's the solution for Southall?
I think that there's a number of different things in answer to that question. I do think that what we've got is we have got, and I'm going to be really frank here, we've got elected officials who are dead weight. They've been literally sort of hogging the throne, so to speak, for a number of years, and we need change in this community. And unfortunately, because there's so much gatekeeper stuff that goes on within Ealing Labour that can sometimes make it really hard for people to try and actually step in and make a difference, because that's how it feels. It feels very exclusive as opposed to inclusive. What you're seeing is people here who have voted Labour, including myself. I'm not standing as, as a candidate for Ealing Independent Network, but I stand in solidarity with people from my local community who have decided that what we're going to do, because Labour is exclusive and not inclusive, because it's not allowing us into the fold to actually make the change within, because it doesn't even want to hear us, because it doesn't want to listen to us. And that's not to say that you don't have people within Labour that aren't coming from a good place, but our local elected officials in our community, unfortunately, are inactive. They're invisible. We don't see them. They don't engage with us. When there's grassroots stuff going on, they don't engage with us. When we reach out to them, whether it's via email or whatever, they don't reach out to us. So for me, for the first time in my life, I am going to, in my local community, vote for local people from the community.
That's brilliant.
Doesn't that make sense?
That makes sense.
Because
Totally agree with
they're
you.
just as invested in the community because they live here. Therefore, they're going to be just as invested as I am.
So
because
Southall-
they're affected by the same issues.
So Southall needs change, yeah?
I think Southall absolutely needs change. That's not to say for a long time, I just want to say this, for a long time, and again, not everyone needs to share my politics. Because I'm quite left-leaning in my politics, for a long time I thought, well, if I don't vote Ealing Labour, have I sold out? Have I done this? But no, it's not just about that. There are plenty of individuals who deeply care, the Greens or I don't know, whatever, but here, all I know is the people from Ealing Independent Networks are from the community. We would not have done the grassroots stuff that we did. We wouldn't have had the support that we had we not had people from the community actually stand in solidarity with us. So to me, that counts for a lot. And look, what do we have to lose in giving new people a chance, right? If you're not happy with them, in 4 years,
Vote again.
you vote
Yeah,
again.
that's right. That makes sense.
So what are you losing by taking a punt? If you're not feeling happy with how the situation is right now, either you put up with the status quo and you complain about it but realise that you voted the same way. I mean, I'm not saying vote like right wing here, people. Let's look at our community, right? And what's going to serve the interests of our community, okay? So no offence to anyone's politics, but I'm just saying, think about and consider voting for people locally who care.
That's good. Thank you for speaking to Zainab today.
Thank you.
And
I went on.
No, it's cool. But we're going to be back in the calls anyways. It was lovely chatting to you. Lovely
Yes,
meeting Zainab
yes,
in Southall.
yes.
Like I said, local activist. She's also
Trying to be.
and she's also in the profession of an actress, sorry. So that's really good as well. I mean, she's coming from a background where she's publicly known and she's in the public domain.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are. But I'm saying well done to you and the people that have come out today. So thank you for chatting to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Just for doing this work. It's really important. Thank you.
You're welcome.